Chicken!
Hello!
G'day and welcome
To Cooking with the Hoverchords.
on this beautiful, sunny Adelaide day.
It's fantastic. I don't know if the people at home can hear. There's some kookaburras just going off their noggins over there.
Yeah. And it's nice being here in the shade, Steve.
Yes. We're sitting here in the shade. Just down, we're in sunny Bellevue Heights at David Blackmore's house here by the pool. And I've decided just to invite myself up. So I thought we'd come down.
What are we cooking?
Well, we're cooking a couple of snags here today. I thought
Fantastic.
there's nothing more Australian than coming and eating some European processed meats, just in some bread. In some bread rolls. Very simple today.
With a couple of small, maybe little condiments if you like it. Maybe some sauce, maybe some mustard.
That's true. Maybe an Aussie fly, you know, is a tradition for the day.
We're back in, yeah.
All right, so I've just poured a couple of beers here
Well,
for me mate Dave, which we'll enjoy in this beautiful weather.
cheers.
So I've got a couple of snags here. I've been down the butcher's today. Some of that's been documented, and I've got what's one of his specials here, a chunky chicken sausage. So I don't know if you want to pop them on, Dave.
No, that's the chunky chicken, I reckon.
That's the chunky chicken sausage, yes sir.
On he goes, and his mate.
Yeah, we're going to fire them up. I'm hungry. I think that's the main reason I'm hungry.
Yeah, let's get it on.
And just a couple of traditional big old fat pork sausages I've got on here. These are local.
They look really fresh,
locally
man.
made. Yeah. Well, they're all made on premises, but this would be local Inman Valley pork, I guess, and this chicken would come from one of the many establishments.
Now, what I like to do, guys, you don't have to, is I just like to drizzle it with a bit of pork. It kind of fires up the coals a little bit and gets it sort of smoking away nicely. Smells fantastic.
It does, and your neighbour is from the CFS, so he's probably either on his way round or has rang some sort of alarm.
Yeah. Shall we put this back on?
Yeah, sure.
Just for a minute, till that smoke settles. Oh, well, talk me through this beer, Steve, because you've got a keener taste bud than I have for beers. Let's be honest about this. So this is a good opportunity for you to talk me through what we're drinking.
Well, this is a beer. It is a standard Australian style ale.
Right.
Made by Rover, made by the Henty Street breweries, whose
Where are
name
they?
eludes me. New South Wales, maybe?
Yeah, okay.
That's what we can say. We can edit that out later on.
So they're an Aussie beer.
Yeah, and I think it tries to tap into that market of people, maybe like yourself, who don't really want a fancy experimental Willy Wonka style beer,
No.
but want something where the hop profile's not too overbearing, and where there's a good malt profile. You know what I mean? It's got a good body, and so that's a pretty standard ale style beer, maybe in the style of an Australian ale, like maybe not quite a sparkling ale, but a well brewed.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not too hoppy. I'll give it that, because some of them I've said before taste like you're eating a fistful of hops or something, which is not my taste, but a lot of people enjoy it, so good on it, man.
Well, we'll be trying one of those very beers that you dislike so vehemently.
Excellent.
Later on, and we'll be discussing why these styles are popular, what I like about them, why they're different, why people have taken so much, to what the kids these days call the haze craze.
It's called the haze
They call it the haze craze.
It's called the haze craze,
So
right?
we'll be trying a New England IPA style beer,
Okay.
and we'll be
okay.
talking through that.
Oh, look, that's just coming on beautifully now, Steve. I don't think we need to.
We
We're a bit concerned we didn't have enough heat on there, but
Here at Cooking with the Hoverchords,
cancel that. It can get a bit random, can't it? Let's be honest.
we have had some fuel. We have some fuel issues.
The other night we
have
had a
some-
thunderstorm while we were shooting, so we had to cancel it.
David set fire to himself,
Yeah.
which
Deliberately, too, which was,
which was a
ironic.
sight to behold. The people at home love some info. They love the infotainment.
Yeah.
A lot of them write in for the fact sheets that you're still working on.
Yeah, they do, and I have to apologise for that. Obviously Christmas has got in the way of a little bit of that.
But there will be fact sheets available, and today we're going to be talking about sausages.
All right.
How old do you think the sausages are, Dave? Not specifically these sausages, but just sausages in general. What do you think the age of a sausage? What's the earliest recorded history of a sausage, you think?
I think it's probably what we would say before Christ.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a fair call.
Yeah. So, I would say between 1000 BC.
Well, the first recorded information of sausage-like,
Snag.
the idea of having some intestine and filling it with some sausage meat or some diced animal meat, some fat, some fruits, some nuts, all sorts of bits and pieces. Definitely a lot of salt. We'll get back to that, but definitely a lot of salt to preserve them.
Yeah.
Was a way of preserving and keeping meat. And there's record of that 5,000 years ago.
Really? And
Right.
who was instigating this, Steve?
Well, the old-time people. The history men.
The old timers.
All of those, and
It doesn't matter.
it's hard to get that information because most of those guys are dead now.
Yeah. I was about to say, where's the fact sheet on that and who's written that?
Well, they're in tablets. They are carved into cuneiform tablets from the Middle East,
Yeah,
where there
right.
would be a sausage on there, or what looked like a sausage.
That's fantastic information.
Well, it's not great information. I've got a bit more. So, what we term as what you might recognise as a sausage while you're in the supermarket,
Yeah.
probably has a history from maybe the 15th century.
Okay, right.
The where we're saying like a French or
modernism.
European style sausage, that the French or the English would have.
Yeah, okay.
And it's an interesting thing, if you're interested.
I'm very interested.
It was really a little byproduct. What people were really interested in is what they would call the pudding. They were interested in a pudding, and a pudding...
Right. Now
pudding,
I'm interested.
A pudding is not a pudding. A pudding is like a stomach that is stuffed with nuts and fruit and meat and fat, like what you would imagine a haggis. Well, what exactly a haggis is? I guess a haggis
Yeah.
is this style of pudding that
Yeah.
still hangs around. There'll be lots of these things, and so that's the goal. Like that is
That's gold standard.
into a stuffed stomach.
That's what.
And the sausage would be more of like a little pudding made with the intestine going on. So it wasn't really the most popular part.
Wow.
And it was very much a poor person's food, because they didn't have
Okay.
fridges. If you think back to the 15th century, in northern England,
Yeah.
or even now, like a lot of our fridges, are made by North Korean major electronics.
Yeah, or South Korean. But yeah, I know.
so,
where you-
sorry, South Korean.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
my
yeah,
mistake.
Yeah. I know where
And
you're
they
going.
had no contact with the South Koreans then at SAT, so
No.
the type of fridge they had would have been very rudimentary.
Yeah.
Probably didn't have an ice maker.
Probably wasn't white.
No. So they relied on these sorts of things to preserve their meats,
Gotcha. And is that where you think the whole salting and curing
Yeah,
of these
now
meats?
you make a good point then, because the word sausage comes from, or derives from the Latin word for salt.
It's a saltage.
Saltus, like
saltage.
Well, like there's the word saltus or whatever the Latin
Oh.
word is. I mean, I'm just having a few beers here on a
I didn't think we'd get-
beautiful weekday here in sunny.
Yeah.
I don't know my Latin too much, but I think the word saltus maybe is a salty word from Latin.
Okay.
And
we'll have our viewers aren't stupid. They'll know and they'll text in.
Yeah,
and-
they'll text in. In fact, I think I can feel my phone going now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that we've become more plain in our sausage-loving facts than
okay.
I think the older school. A 16th century sausage probably had some prunes in it,
Yeah.
probably had some nuts in it, probably had a few bits and pieces there,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to disguise the taste of heavily spoiled and dangerous meat.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
They're my
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
hadn't really thought about a sausage.
the history of a sausage.
The history of in the ways that would be a way of keeping meat, which I guess when you take it to this extreme level, you might have a cured sausage. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know, what do you call it, a pepperoni or something like that, or is that something?
That's a dried sausage.
Is that something that came from that initial thing, do you think? Or do you
I
think?
don't think it's like evolution where there's one sausage and then all the sausages have evolved from that sausage.
Of the
I
same
think,
genome.
I think people from all around the globe have spontaneously invented a sausage,
In a
their own
different-
version of a
right,
sausage. Do you know what I mean? There's records of Chinese-style sausages
really?
from thousands and thousands of years ago. They would have had no contact with Europeans, and they've come up with the sausage concept on their own, you know. So.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yep. Well, that's, yeah, nice work. I mean, what we're essentially going to do is eat these sausages in these plain white rolls, which are very nice. They're always very nice, your plain white rolls.
Will you cut a plain white roll and toast it gently?
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
In a minute.
I'll let you do that. I'm sorry to
Once
steal your
these,
thunder.
once these get sort of done, I'll just put them off to one side and then we'll just sort this out. I've talked Steve in to me just shaving a little bit of onion, red onion, which I just kind of like with meat, especially a fatty meat, because I find it cuts through a bit more the fat or the flavour. And then we've just also got our typical stuff here, haven't we, Steve? We've got your tomato sauce, and you brought over some mild, freshly ground mustard.
That's correct, yeah, some
So
mustard.
that'll be nice too.
And what I've done too here today is I've brought, and I don't want to play it down too much, but I've just brought some standard Heinz tomato ketchup that
Do you
most of
have?
the people at home will have in their pantry. Now it's not a gourmet, it's not
No.
a gourmet variety. It's and I try not too hard to talk, you know, to say anything against the Heinz Corporation, because I had a friend once who did and he disappeared. And they're powerful enemies to
Where'd
have.
you go? Where'd he go?
They're
Well,
pow-
that's the idea of being disappeared. You don't know.
They're a powerful enemy to have, but it's a fantastic product, and they've paid me to say that because it's high in sugar,
It's really high in sugar,
it's
man.
very high in vinegar, it's got quite an acidic vinegar, and it just goes fantastic with a sausage.
It does.
I would rate it above the gourmet varieties because of its cheapness.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
sugary, vinegary. It's a perfect
And
accompaniment.
a cat is I'm putting Steve on the spot, but is a ketchup like a sauce?
No,
Where's-
ketchup's like a
what's that?
ketchup is if like you've got maybe like acquaintances you haven't seen for a while, and then you would meet up with them and find out what they've been up to.
Oh, that's a ketchup.
What's been happening in their life,
Yeah,
how their
okay.
job's going. That sort of thing is a catch-up. This is a ketchup.
Rightio, so what are we going to try now, mate?
This is the our segment. There'll probably be some sort of infographic fly up on the screen. That is your forte. Beer of the day.
Beer of the day.
So here's today's beer of the day. It's called the Undercover Fashion Police. And it's got a very fancy label on it
My lord.
that I think is somewhat inspired by the children's video game Grand Theft Auto. That's what I'm thinking.
Do you mind if I pick this one up and have a look?
Sure.
Whoa,
It's made by Little Bang Brewery here in South Australia. And one thing I
it's a
think
great label, man.
one thing I'd like to talk about a bit that I don't know that people do before as I pour these beers
Yeah.
is, I don't know, if you grow up and you're of a certain age, and by a certain age I mean our age,
Yeah.
and your dad would let you, I don't know if you probably drank a lot more Riesling, but my dad would let me pour a beer.
Yeah.
And he would do what you're doing. He would tell me to tip
Oh.
the glass and make sure,
You get a decent head on it.
don't make too much froth or whatever. But
Yeah.
I've always felt now that really all you're doing is keeping all that carbon dioxide in solution by doing that, by being gentle with it. And then all that carbon dioxide stays in solution, and then it just goes straight into your guts.
So what are you saying?
And then you're burping and you're farting. When you pour a beer, you can start off, I guess, but you should actually pour it. And this will probably froth all over the glass now so that I can prove the point. But if you pour it like that, right,
Wow, that looks good.
That's the way this glass, and we'll talk about these glasses in a bit because it looks like
Yeah.
I've knocked them off from the Wheatie, but they were actually a gift.
Oh,
And,
you didn't knock them off from the
I'm
Wheatie?
not ever suggesting you should do that. These were a birthday gift. They were bought legally from the Wheat Chief Hotel, which is a wonderful place. And
Absolutely.
And we're not suggesting go there and steal glass. In fact, we're suggesting
Go there.
no, go the more nick their glasses. Anyway, look, I'm thinking, if that's the beer that you've as opposed to what you've done there, Dave, you've got this. As you put that to your nose, you get an aroma. You know, that head will allow that aroma to come off and give you much more of a beer experience. And then you're not churning so much gas into your guts, you know.
Right.
And
So you reckon like let the gas out?
Well, that's not outrageous.
No.
But a bit of a head
more
on
than
it.
I.
Don't tip it. So, you know, let it.
Don't be so gentle with it.
Don't be so gentle.
Don't
Anyway,
be so gentle.
don't be so gentle with anything. Anyway, this is a New England IPA. This is a type of beer.
Well, that's a bit different.
This is a type of beer that was invented, you know, or developed maybe
See that can again.
maybe in the early 2012s, something like that, you know, maybe only 10 years ago.
Rightio.
And it's a style of IPA, India Pale Ale, that people will be familiar with, where it's not filtered.
Right.
He's left a lot of the sediment and the yeast, the dead yeast and stuff in the beer, which has given it that hazy appearance
it's
that people
definitely
will be
hazy. Purple
familiar
haze.
with. And then as that's developed, a lot of those, even those, what you're describing as hop flavours, sometimes there can be some of the esters that are part of the yeast culture that's still in there that could give it those banana flavours and those tropical fruit.
See, to my taste, that's not overly hoppy.
But what
But
it
it
does,
has a different. There's something else in there. Can you?
yeah, well, that's the yeast.
Okay.
So it's with the haze, it's not just the addition of the extra yeast, the extra hops, but you also have that yeast that's not being filtered out, and some of the esters that are involved in that can develop some of those flavours that you're probably experiencing.
Yeah, because it's not like a big mouthful of.
Well, it is hop to a certain extent, but it doesn't have. And comparing it to the beer we had earlier, it doesn't have that full-on malt. The malt that balances the hops. You know, there's not
Right.
much of a malt profile in it. It is mainly, and I'll have a sip before I rabbit on about it.
Just to prove you know what you're talking about.
It doesn't have that full-blown maltiness
Yeah.
from behind it. And there's a few other things they'll do. There's different oats and or malt profiles that they use that are different to a standard English ale. But there you go.
That's quite comprehensive, Steve.
Well, that's just what it is, and you know, and you'll hear kids talk about. So this is a New England IPA.
New England.
That, you know, because it comes from that part of America. And I'll just let you chop those buns while I'm rabbiting
Yeah.
on, because I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I know.
But you'll hear that referred to more and more, especially if you walk around the bottle shop. And I think even on this can, you'll see it referred to as a hazy IPA.
Hazy IPA, New England. So, not as in something new from England. It's from the state of New England, in America.
Maybe it is. Maybe people can check that at home. You can do that. Once again, I'm cooking with the Hoverchords. We like to make you a better cook. And so
Oh.
Dave's here. We're not doing a lot of cooking today, and that was the aim of today's show.
Yeah.
But Dave is using that technique of always cutting towards yourself.
Yes. Well, I find it keeps you on your toes.
Well, it doesn't necessarily keep you safer, but it keeps everyone else safer.
Yeah.
So that's rule number one: always cut towards yourself.
Yeah. Rule
What's
number
another
two. I don't know. I just like them a little bit toasty. I don't know about you. You don't have to. Obviously, you can just chuck the snag in it and chuck it in your gob.
But cooking with olive oil is something you're passionate about. I know the last time we did an impromptu cooking with the Hoverchords with our mate Maddie a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Who's an integral part of the Hover Horns and the man.
Oh
that
yeah,
we
we
owe
did.
all that,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I noticed that while you're in my kitchen, you went through about 2 litres of olive oil that day.
yeah.
It was a phenomenal amount of olive oil.
It was almost illegal, the amount of
Well,
olive oil.
My kitchen wasn't so much dirty, but it was just shiny and slippery.
It was, yeah, it was a bit slippery, wasn't it?
Very slippery.
Now, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just going to take.
Are you going to peel that onion?
Yeah, I'm going to peel it. I'm
Okay.
going to peel it like that because I want to keep the peel on it for later, so that we're not. And then I'm just going to shave.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're only going to have a small amount of onion, so you're going to
Yeah.
not molest it too much.
Yeah, you don't want to. There you go. So maybe one more. There we go. Just thinly shaved.
And
then-
also you're exhibiting that other technique that you're so good for. Don't let the knife do the work.
No.
Use force.
Yeah. Yeah. You get into it.
Because often at cooking schools they'll say,
Well, they say that at cooking schools because, you know, you're paying them to say it.
yeah. And they have not had as many injuries as you. So
No.
how would they know?
No. One guy said to me, if you can see your fingernails when you're chopping, you're doing it wrong. You're going to hit your fingernails and cut your finger.
Yeah. When you're doing something like that, you shouldn't be looking at the knife.
No.
You shouldn't be looking at the vegetable or
You
whatever
shouldn't be
you're
looking at
cutting.
your fingernails.
You should be watching the cricket.
You should be doing something else. You should be watching something else. Maybe the kids, maybe the steak that's frying next to you and thinking, oh Lord, this is going to be good.
Okay. So that's knife safety with the Hoverchords. And we would also stress, if you take any of our advice, you know, you're an idiot.
It's of your own volition.
You're an
sort of thing.
idiot.
Yeah, I'll go mustard.
Do you want the
for
sausage
sure.
on first or the mustard on first?
I don't really care. I'm one of those guys that just gets
Gets excited
happy
by
to get
sausages.
it any way I can.
Well, we didn't talk a lot about these sausages. They come from Brighton City Meats.
Where's that? Where's Brighton City Meats?
Down by the Brighton Foodland there at Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton.
Yeah,
South
Brighton,
Australia.
Brighton City
yeah.
Meats. So Brighton, South Australia, the world,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
they're fantastic butchers. We wouldn't. Would you normally cut one in half, or do you think you're just being delicate for the
I'm
camera?
just being delicate because you know you don't want to deep throat the Kranskis and a thing. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
no.
All the sauce
There's
runs
people
out.
around the world watching this who often see you not at your best, but that would be you at your worst.
That is an amazing sausage, man.
It's probably my favourite sausage.
Yeah. I mean, we have two types in our home. We have
Oh, you're one of those guys.
yeah, we have the Heinz and the Rosella, which isn't as sweet. It has a higher, I believe, it has a higher vinegar content.
If you look at the ingredient, like if you do your research, and I'd stress for people at home, do your research.
Don't
you know,
listen to laugh.
don't listen, do your research on the ingredients. The actual percentage of Rosella in a Rosella sauce, it's minimal.
Well, it
it's-
used to be a lot higher.
Yeah. So anyway, let me backtrack a bit here. We've had a chunky chicken sausage, which was absolutely fantastic, you know, and not a traditional sausage, an amazing piece of butchery. But this pork sausage, there's something about it, isn't there?
It's not dry. So I find some of the beef sausages you get, especially if you've just cranked the barbie on them, they're just a bit dry. This one's smooth as, man. It's almost creamy inside.
Well, Dave's called it. We bid you all adieu. We've had a fantastic afternoon. We've learned about sausages. We've learned about beers. All in all, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm done.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a few beers. Goodbye. Good health
Cheers.
to you. Up your bum.
See
all
you
those
guys-
things.
See you guys soon.
Do you recommend eating the head?
Oh, absolutely.